So, this is a video basically about diet, but there's some political ties to it, just a little bit, not much. And I'm making this video because my daughter, she's 14, and she's starting to care more and more about how she looks in her clothes and how she feels about herself and stuff. So she and I were talking in the car one day about diet and the diet that I do and how do I keep my weight off and stuff like that. So I wanted to share a few things with you. She says, Mom, you should make a video about that. And so I said, okay, I will. So this video is at her request, but for your pleasure. So I talked to her. I do a carnivore diet. I did a keto diet for probably now about 14 years. And I have type 2 diabetes, and I keep my diabetes under control with my diet. And I was on medications. I was on metformin. I've never done the Ozempic or these other pills or shots or whatever they are. I have a friend who does them, but I have worn some of the continuous glucose monitors to look at my blood sugar and see how it fluctuates with different foods. So I cannot eat vegetables, fruit, popcorn, bread, I cannot eat those things. If I eat those things, my blood sugar goes through the roof. So what I can eat basically is meat. I do eat some other things because I'm alive and I like to have some pleasure in life. So I do eat some other things, but I keep it in moderation, and I eat it only occasionally. They have so many options nowadays. It's really easy to do a diet like this, ketogenic or carnivore diet. I mostly do like 90% carnivore. So I was talking to her about how humans are really nomadic creatures. We always have been until modern times, and agriculture, when we started settling down. When we did agriculture, we still moved around a lot, but nowadays people basically feed us and we just go to the store, but we sit a lot. So this information is based on being nomadic. And so what tribal people would do, nomadic people, is they would go south for the winter and then go north for the summers. And basically they were chasing the food and the water. So whenever they would travel, and I've read this in a few places, they would, and I've heard, I watch a lot of videos on this kind of diet, and I listen to a lot of doctors who are moving away from the standards in our legal medical system and more towards a natural, holistic dietary way of life, and they call it ancestral diet. So carbohydrates, that's carbs and water. So carbs draw in and hold water. So we see some people who eat a lot of breads, pastas, cereals, that kind of thing. They get clogged arteries. Oh, and the really bad oils, seed oils and stuff, they get clogged arteries, and then with all the carbohydrates, they retain water, and then they end up having a heart attack or something. But it's not just because they're overweight, it's because of the foods they're eating and the fact that they retain a lot of water from these carbs. So carbohydrates in their natural state can be really good for people who were nomadic. So people who were nomadic would travel from, let's say during the time when it's becoming summer, they would travel from the north place or from the south places up north, and then for the winter from the north back down to the south. So on these long trails that they would travel, they would find fruits, berries, nuts, tree fruits, nightshades, different vegetables growing wild. A lot of the domesticated vegetables and fruits and things that we have now were at one point in time wild, and they tasted a little different. They weren't full of sugar like they are now, but they provided a source of sugar, which if you were traveling a long period of time, a long ways, and you didn't always have access to water, you could eat these fruits and nightshades and other things, and then as you walk along the trail and you go off to go to the bathroom and you poop and then you leave the seeds there, and then more would sprout up and grow, and then on the way back, if you're traveling on the same trail, which a lot of tribal people did, then they had more food to eat along the way. So the carbohydrates from traveling and eating helped them retain water. So if they couldn't find a water source nearby, they had at least retained some water until maybe they could find a source of water. And of course, when they got somewhere, they would always make camp where there was water, because where there's water, there's going to be animals. Where there's flowing water, there's going to be food, of course, there's going to be plants and stuff, but there's going to be animals. And so when they would have a camp somewhere near a water source, they would hunt. And they had water there, so they didn't need all the sugars to retain the water in their bodies, because they had a source of water nearby, and the animals would come to drink the water. So you can think of the Eskimos. They lived on snow and ice, so they didn't need plants. There's no plants growing on the snow, so they would eat seal and fish and polar bear, and those types of meat sources have a lot of fat, but they lived in a watery climate. They lived on water, on ice. Their food lived on the same kind of thing, so they had plenty of water, so they didn't eat plants, and they ate animals. So think of it that way. The Eskimos, they didn't eat plants, they ate high-fat protein, but they lived on water, whereas tribal people, when they would walk for long periods of time, they would pick up fruits and berries and vegetables and nuts along the way, but that helped them, the sugars helped them retain water. So sugar retains water, and sugar is usually full of carbs, or plants that are sugary are full of carbs, and those carbs are not bad for you per se, but once you start getting into processing things like breads, pastas, cereals, and that kind of thing, you're mixing two different substances. So you're mixing sugar, but you're also mixing in a different type of carb, and those two together can be a bad combination. So if you're just eating plants, fruit and berries, and you don't have diabetes, and you're retaining some water, that's one thing. But if you add pastas and grains and stuff like that on top of that, then that's really a deadly combination for a lot of people's health. So this is how I'm explaining to my daughter when it's okay to eat fruits if you're not going to have a lot of water to drink. So for example, she does horse shows. She shows her horse, and she's on her horse all day. So I don't really promote her to eat a lot of anything but meat. Once in a while, yes, but she'll eat a banana while she's doing her show, and then that will basically sustain her throughout the day. She does get a little thirsty now and then, but she doesn't have to drink as much, so she doesn't have to get off her horse and go to the bathroom and get back on her horse and, all this stuff so much, because she's able to eat some fruit. She can sit up there on the horse all day, and though she might get a little bit thirsty and drink some water, she doesn't have to drink a lot of water, and then she doesn't have to go to the bathroom a lot. So in that kind of situation, I let her have a banana. But when we're just home and she can eat whatever she wants, I generally promote her to eat mostly meat, and then she has water access all the time, so she can drink water whenever she wants. So another thing I wanted to point out, this is my political thing in this is the Department of Health, organized and under the United States, and the Standard American Diet. The Standard American Diet is based on the average male at 18 years old who's in perfect health. And where do we find these men? So these men, I think they're saying that this kind of Standard American Diet is mostly for those young men going into the military. So I had a friend who was a neighbor, and he was in the Army, and he was in perfectly good health as far as I recall him telling me. And he went into the military, and he was 2 weeks out in the field, which meant that he was eating MREs, and he was out not able to access different types of foods. He was just eating MREs and drinking water. So he ended up having to go to the hospital. He couldn't complete his, his mission, his field mission, because he had to go to the hospital because his pancreas gave out on him. His pancreas doesn't work anymore. His pancreas, the pancreas is what creates insulin. So he ended up with an insulin pump inside of him that pumped the insulin regularly because his pancreas was basically not working at all. And it wasn't working at all because he was out in the field eating MREs, and MREs are full of carbs. Well, why are MREs full of carbs? Because MREs are full of carbs because it's a quick, usable energy source. And when you're in the military and you're doing a lot of work, you can't wait for ketones to kick in because it can take a while. It can be pretty difficult on some people's bodies to switch from using sugar as a source of energy to using ketones as a source of energy. And ketones is what you get from not having carbohydrates, not having sugar, but using fat as energy. So your body will change the fat into ketones. And the Standard American Diet seems to be what you would find like in an MRE. Well, an MRE will kill the pancreas. And of course, some people can live off MREs, but does that make it the ideal nutrition, the ideal American diet? No, I would say absolutely not, because some problems are acute, meaning they happen right away, like they did with the guy I knew who lived across the street, where he was not able to complete his mission because it killed his pancreas. The MREs, the Standard American Diet, killed his pancreas. Whereas some other people, like say me, is a chronic condition that happens over time where you don't really notice it so much, and then you end up, oh, like my blood sugar's too high, I've got type 2 diabetes. He would end up with low blood sugar. So, and some people, it's a heart attack, and some people it's, it's some other kind of health disease. And kids 16 years old out playing football should be in perfectly good health, dying on the football field from the heat and clogged arteries and excess water in their body, so their heart can't pump. So not only are their arteries clogged, but their heart is wrapped in water, so there's pressure and it can't really pump. And then not only can it not pump, but it can't get the blood through the arteries. So this is why I eat carnivore. Some people, I tried vegan, I tried raw food vegan, I've tried all different kinds of things, and they just didn't work for me. They didn't help me with my blood sugar. They didn't help me lose weight. So I opted for, when my daughter was born 14 years ago, I opted for the keto diet. I followed the keto diet for about 13 years. I've been doing mostly carnivore for about the last year or so, and it's worked really good for me. I enjoy it. I don't really miss foods. As a matter of fact, if I eat sugar, first of all, if there's anything with any sugar in it, I'll taste it right away, and I basically spit it out. I can't eat it. Second of all, if I do eat some sugar, I feel like I've never done cocaine, but if I had done cocaine, sugar is what it would feel like to like snort cocaine. It's bad. I can't do it. I can't eat sugar, and a lot of vegetables now are just too much for me. It's because my body's not used to eating that anymore. It's not used to having that, and so the response is immense, even for just a small amount of sugar. I feel pretty good. I'm 51. I turned 51 late last year, 2024, and I had a kidney stone from chronic dehydration that's been there for who knows how long, at least 15 years. And I had it removed, and I've been feeling really, really good. My energy level's really high, and I stay fairly lean. I probably still eat a little too much, but I enjoy eating when I do eat. So I cook my foods the way I like them, and I have a good time with it. I do not miss eating crap. My daughter sees it. She sees me. She sees what I'm like. She can compare me. She's like, well, these people are your same age or slightly older, or some of them way younger, and they look terrible. They have no energy. She sees it, and she's like, well, I don't want that for myself, and she doesn't want that for me, so she supports me. And now she's trying to move that way herself towards a more carnivore diet. I encourage everyone to at least try it. It is hard at first. You get used to it, and I think if you're liking the results, you're gonna love it and stay on it, stick with it, and good luck. And the standard American diet, you've probably heard it, is for the average 18-year-old male who's in perfectly good health, which is nobody. And if you eat that kind of diet, you're probably going to end up sick at some point in time. And a lot of this standard American diet is also contributing to the aging process, that we're aging a lot faster than we're supposed to. And scientists are now looking at aging as a disease and not necessarily something that is a matter of fact and happens to us regardless of our health state. So you know as well as I do that some people age faster than other people. I in the last few years I've felt a little bit of stuff coming on, and I get my aches and pains and everything. So I'm not saying that I don't feel it, but I just feel like a lot of people my age feel it 10 times worse and look 10 times worse. So I'm okay with where I'm at, and I contribute that to changing my diet. And I really don't have time to exercise a whole lot. I do try to get some exercise in, but it's, I guess, an individual thing. Exercise probably would help me a lot, but if you wanted to do something like this, just leave some comments in the comment section. I can tell you the doctors who I follow and the stuff that I read and the way I cook my food, whatever. I'm happy to answer any questions. So most of my videos are political related, but I think if you want to live longer, happier, healthier, more energetic life, look a little better, feel a little better, you may want to go keto or carnivore. Not everybody can do keto. Not everybody can do carnivore. Most people can do keto because that's really our ancestral diet, and that's our human diet that we should really be following more. So like, share, subscribe, and again, I'm happy to answer any questions in the comment sections that you have. Point you in a direction, tell you who I watch, who I listen to, and help you out with any information I can if this is something that you're interested in doing. So for my daughter, I make this video, and for your pleasure, I make it. So